discussing the broad outcomes of the 21st century skills. You learn them and apply them. What is it you get out of it? So, just to recap, in previous sections, we said, what are the 21st century skills? Why are they necessary? And now, in this section, how are they useful? It kind of makes sense, because if you're going to learn something, remember we talked about that earlier, you must be able to apply the intellectual knowledge in the practical world. What are ways in which each of these skills can be applied in the world? And the first one in this review will be critical thinking. So what are some of the broad outcomes of learning and applying critical thinking? All right? So if you look down at your pages, it says, outcome, the first one, effective reasoning. Being able to use reasoning appropriate to the situation. The second outcome, using systems and processes with intelligence and rational thinking. Remember, critical thinking is all about using things rationally, intellectually. It's all the right brain stuff, you know, where all the analysis is done. So it's being able to see a situation, what are its components, what are the elements of it, how do they work together to produce an output. So these are some of the benefits of critical thinking. In analysis, how various parts of a system or process unite or complement each other for a complete picture. So again, this is what critical thinking does. It allows us not only to see the individual pieces and parts of a problem or a situation, but it supplies the intellectual ability to be able to put them together like a puzzle, like a puzzle picture. Put them together so that you get the whole picture. These are the benefits of having strong critical thinking skills. Now, if your critical thinking skills are weak, how can you improve them? Okay? You can improve them by reading things that cause you to think more in detail about a particular issue or problem. Looking at something from the component point of view, the pieces, and then how the pieces work together to accomplish some goal. This might be, critical thinking is most used in analytical areas of learning, like things like chemistry, biology, mathematics. These are high-level critical thinking areas, okay? Things like art, music, not so much on the critical thinking part, but on the creativity part. However, critical thinking is always involved to some degree in all of our activities. It's just sometimes it's used more, sometimes available information, and form conclusions after effective analysis. Now that pretty much says what I just said, isn't it? So you correlate the information, you see the meeting points of where this information matches with this, where they fit relative to the subject matter, right? Then you form a conclusion based on an analysis. Again, critical thinking. So based on what this person said, or this person said, or this article said, or this article said, and if you're reading, your old highlighter is your best friend. Correlation, highlighter, highlighter, highlighter. Because then all you have to do is just glance at something, and you can see the meeting points. That gives you a strong tool in the analysis so that you can make the most correct conclusion or decision based upon the information available. So you got to work at this. Don't make assumptions. take things apart. Look at them from different angles. Right? Look at the details. See where things meet. And if they don't, this also tells you something. Either somebody's trying to manipulate public opinion, or they simply don't know what they're talking about and are more ignorant than we are. They just happen to be on a platform. I bet you've come across this many times, even in your lives. I've seen it more times, unfortunately, than I would have liked to. So, analysis, gathering relevant data, correlate it, see whether things match up or don't, and then make a decision based on sound analytical process. Okay? Sound analytical process. So these are the foundations that critical thinking helps you in decision making. And one other thing is that you may, because of looking at all the different pieces, come up with an innovative solution that was not necessarily intended in the individual elements of the information that you have gathered. Maybe the writers or the speakers, whatever, did not intend for this particular outcome. But because you took the time to analyze the information from different points, the whole correlation thing, and step back, you're going to see patterns that nobody else will. This is where innovation comes in. Taking something that exists and creating something brand new from the information, even though it was not necessarily intended that way. So it gives you more options for solutions. So critical thinking gives you more options for solutions that will be more accurate because you are applying your intellect to the information available, making sure that you understand what that information is saying, correlation, and then, based on that, coming to decisions that may be more than what the information you have available intended. It's like a lightning strike. You know, the right conditions, if you have the right conditions and you keep yourself open-minded and you just look at things, you'd be surprised. Your intuition is a powerful tool. Trust it. Generally, your first conclusion that appears after you have reviewed and analyzed it, if there's something that simply appears in your mind, that's intuition at work. And intuition is closer to divine knowledge because it's not based on linear thinking. It's an insight. It's a lightning strike. That's how God works. God doesn't give us linear analysis. He just says, here, there's the answer. So we need to be able to listen to the intuition. You're generally right the first time with your intuition. Most of us don't trust it because we're not used to it. And so we'll work for hours and days and usually throw ourselves off the right path. What I suggest is after you've analyzed all the relevant information for a particular outcome, after you've analyzed it, you've done your homework, correlations, looked at how things fit together in the puzzle, in the picture, then just sit for a moment. Just look at it and sit. Don't try to think, just sit. With the intent of, what is this telling me? So we have to have some intent. What is the intent? What is this telling me? And then just sit quietly for a minute or two. You sharpen that skill. You sharpen that. It is the most valuable tool that you have. I found that in my work in IT. I mean, I started off as a programmer, and over time, you know, I've got a number of patents underneath my name of creating stuff that nobody else had thought of. Why? Because I did the stuff that I'm saying. This crazy thought came into my head. And then I shared that crazy thought with other crazy people like me. And they said, hell, we'll work on it after work. You know, we don't have to be on the clock. This sounds really cool. And I can show you the patent that I got for it. It was an automated system. I'm a systems engineer, software engineer, like Ken is. And you know, we sent it to the government, and lo and behold, nobody's ever done that before. And we got a patent for it. And over a period of 25 years, that product and the processes that were behind it brought in $750 million worth of revenue to our company, or almost $750 million. All of us can do this. I was just a poor, dumb, poor kid. Had no money, but a lot of drive. And anybody can do it. You just have to have the will, and then use the tools that we're giving you here. You know, use them. They're golden. Because nowhere else will you get information as we are sharing in this class, unless you can tell me that other folks have talked to you like this before. I've had many students say, Bob, sir, nobody's ever told us this. It's like a revelation. It's like, no, it isn't. It's life. Fortunately, I've got a lot of life underneath my shoes. And that's what I'm trying to share. Share those insights, share those tools with you, so you don't have to learn them the hard way, you know, by stumbling. If you use them. If you use them. CK Mann, summary? If we had time?